What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 106. Today, Nate and Blake. Nate finally made it back. Blake came back in, and we started talking about Nate's buck that he just killed, the 6x5. He's bucked out now, too, so both of those guys have killed 2 bucks this year. Awesome for them. We got to talk about that. We got into, again, kind of the firearm thing that I talked about on Friday, so that was good conversation as well. And we talked about a lot of other stuff along the way, too, so I think you guys will enjoy it. Hopefully, we'll have this crew on more often moving forward. Before we get into it, though, don't forget about our partners for the podcast. One of those being Rodney Hawkins. If you guys are looking for your own piece of ground to manage and hunt, Rodney's the guy to talk to. He grew up hunting and fishing in Southern Illinois, and he's now putting that love for the outdoors into selling recreational properties as a land specialist with Midwest Farm and Land. They're not your average real estate company if you guys haven't heard of them. They sold over $85 million worth of ground in 2022 alone. With agents like Rodney all over Illinois, they're really a local company with a national reach. If you want more info on them, on anything that might be available, on getting your property listed if you're looking to maybe sell your property, or they do residential stuff as well, you can contact Rodney directly at 618-925-3153, and he'll get you taken care of. He's also got his own company called RHO Outdoors. They currently carry hard and soft-sided blinds and blind chairs from Radix, in addition to an all-natural scent elimination product called Camo Dust. They've also got Tacticam trail cameras now, and he's adding new stuff all the time. So if you're interested in anything they have to offer, you can send them a message through their Facebook page. It's RG Outdoors. Email them at rgoutdoors@yahoo.com, or again, just call Rodney directly at 618-925-3153. Make sure you tell them that we sent you over there. Our other partner for the podcast is Grandpa Ray Outdoors. They specialize in providing the best nutrition for whitetail deer on your property, starting with the soil. They've got a full line of high-quality food plot seed and plant foods with over 14 different food plot blends to choose from. You're not going to have any trouble finding what you're looking for, whether that be fall or spring blends, corn and beans, switchgrass, liquid fertilizer, soil test kits, you name it. When it comes to food plots, they've got it. They were started in 2015, but John has been in the seed nutrition business since 1991. He's the owner up there. They're not just about selling their products either. They're going to answer any questions you have about what blends would be best for your specific property. That way you can achieve the best results possible. John and his team don't believe in a cookie-cutter approach to wildlife nutrition, so they're going to treat you and your situation individually. They're not just about a fancy label or package either. They're about good quality seed and taking care of their clients. They've got some of the best customer service, I think, in the seed and nutrition business. If you call up there to talk to them, you're going to get John, or you're going to get Aaron. You're going to get somebody that knows what they're talking about, a real person, and they're going to be able to answer your questions. We've used their seed blends on our own properties. I don't know how many hundreds, thousands of pounds of their seed we put down between ours and client properties, but the results have always been as good as advertised. That's why we, started this partnership in the first place. That's why we're going to continue to use their seed and hopefully continue this partnership moving forward. You can go check them out at grandparrayoutdoors.com. Use the discount code RHO Podcast. That's all lowercase, no space, and you get 10% off your order there. 5% off your order there, sorry. You can get 10% off on our website, though, using the discount code RHOPOD, and our website is Ridgehunteroutdoors.com. We have apparel on there for the podcast. We'll hopefully have some fall pursuit apparel on there soon. We have our own Clover and Chicory food plot blend that will be available again soon here in the next few months. You guys can get that out for frost seeding. We do have our whitetail scents that are still being mixed fresh for you guys to use. They'll be effective all the way through the season. I've seen it work from October to January, so make sure you check that stuff out as well. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, make sure you follow us, leave us a review. That really helps us out as well. YouTube, subscribe to that. That's where the Fall Pursuit Show comes out on Tuesdays. You'll get to see Nate's buck on that episode. Again, no kill shot on that one. We get into plenty of that, I promise, on this episode, so stay tuned for that. But you will get to see the buck and some of his hunt there. So that's on the YouTube channel, Ridge Hunter Outdoors. Subscribe to that. Social media are Ridge Hunter Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram, and we do have a private Facebook group called RHO Podcast Patrons, so you guys can use that as just another hunting group. Share your experiences, stories, successes, failures, all that kind of stuff, and you can have some input on the podcast too. So if you got some ideas for guests we should have on or topics that we should talk about, leave them in there, and we'll get to them. All right, let's get into episode number 106. This is the Ridge Hunter Outdoors podcast. Yeah, he's okay.
He's okay if you're into that kind of thing.
if you're into 150s.
Yep.
I'm sure you're in a lot of good things there, buddy.
Yeah. If you're just picking this up, Nate is bucked out now too. So I'm sitting across the table from two guys that are bucked out, and I'm just a podcast host, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what this is.
YouTube editor.
Yeah, I'm YouTube editor / podcast host. I don't actually kill anything. I shoot one every now and then on camera, and that's pretty much the extent of it. These guys are the ones who really kill them.
You at least get it on camera.
Well, that's where I was going to go at some point with this conversation. Is me and Nate had talked, like, I don't know, probably in August or September, when I decided, like, for sure we're doing the show. Like, man, because I knew you were going to be helping Blake. I knew we'd be hunting. Dad and Jeff and Dusty said that he would help out, and I knew his kids he'd probably film them hunting too. And I was like, if we could kill 6 bucks this year, that'd be awesome. You guys have killed 4 between the two of you. Dusty's kids have each killed 1, and he's killed 1. And we have 2 legit on camera. The one that Kelby shot was on camera.
Yep.
But it was like he was saying, the deer was looking right at him, so it was hard to really get on him.
Yeah.
His was in the very corner of the screen, which again he's self-filming, so I understand. I'm not saying anything against, what we're doing. Just we've killed 7 as a group, $7.
If this was baseball, we'd be getting paid a lot of money.
Well, not for killed shots on camera. We were actually getting some grief about that today at church.
Yeah. So I told Blake about that. Walt was like, I've been watching the show and it's great. He's like, it's great. And I'm looking, he's going to shoot. Oh, he's going to shoot. Oh, it's going to happen this time. It's going to happen this time. And then he said, you'll shoot. And either you miss or it doesn't look like a good shot or it's not in focus. And he said, every time I'm like, dang it. Yeah, it was funny listening.
I promise, Walt, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah. You're not the only one that's disappointed.
Yes. Or, sometimes it's out of focus.
Then you hear, dang it.
Yeah. Dang it. Dude, dang it. I think was the exact words.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I was going to get at is we've killed some bucks this year.
Yeah.
We've just been struggling to get the kill on camera.
Yeah.
And then whatever happened on
of,
the one that I shot.
Lots of bloodshed.
Yes.
All around.
Yes.
Lots of punch tags. And then craftsmanship on the video camera end.
Yeah.
Some's been there, some's
We've been
not.
hunting a lot longer. We've been filming.
That's right.
Yeah. All except for you, but
I'm rusty. It's been a couple years.
yeah.
We're killers. We're not cameramen, right?
I'm a cameraman.
I'm just kidding.
Evidently.
You should edit that out. We're really not that great at killers either. At least I'm not.
I don't know. You got $2 and it's
luck.
December. Well, hey, that's what
Luck.
it takes. Obviously, it wasn't happening when I was with you.
Man, gosh, do you know how awesome it would have been to kill him with a bow that morning?
Yeah, I do.
Like,
you know how much more awesome it would have been had we had 2 in 2 mornings?
yeah, that would have been, that would have made an incredible episode.
Yeah, shy of 2 twigs and whatever
shoulder.
the heck happened.
A shoulder blade.
Yeah. I actually think it was his elbow. Whatever. Yeah.
Bone.
Yes, bone. And the deflection. 2 deflections, one of them inside the deer, the other one before it got there.
Yeah,
So close.
man.
I've watched both of those shots so many times.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. And it doesn't make me feel any better,
No.
no matter how many times I watch it.
No.
But what we're talking about is Nate did shoot that deer, the 6x5. If you guys watched episode number 7, was that the one? The past one was 8, right? And it was the one before
Yes,
the
it
last
was
one.
7.
Yeah.
Because 8 was where you shot your doe. And
On camera.
Yes, right.
Great footage for about 2 minutes.
We had Dusty.
That was not a disappointment.
No, absolutely not.
Hammer.
Absolutely not. Hey, Jeff killed the doe on camera, too.
Very true.
It was moving a little, but it was on camera.
Was Jeff's the first kill?
Yes.
First kill.
His was the first kill of the year.
First blood.
Well, on camera, because Blake killed his opening day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's true.
I didn't sit in the camera with him because I'm an idiot.
Not
And
much faith in me, huh?
I had a pretty good feeling you were going to get on a deer that night based on what we'd been seeing on Snapchat for like a week and a half. And I was like, I'd call him, see if I can go with him or if he wants me to send a camera with him or if he'd take a camera. And I didn't. And here we are. how many weeks later? And we still,
2 months.
We still have what, one buck
Yep.
kill, one buck with a bow on camera between all 7 of them. Oh well.
Heck of a deal.
But back to what I was saying, the 6x5. If you
Yeah.
watched him on episode 7, we got some really good video of him.
Very good.
Lighting could have been better, but I don't know though, because it's kind of like that November morning lighting. I
Yeah.
thought it would turn out pretty good.
And I mean, that was the first 10 minutes of legal light. you
Yeah.
know.
And just a crazy morning.
Mm-hmm.
Really, that's the best hunt I've been on this year. Because even the one where I shot my deer, we saw one doe before that, barely.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him and then realized he was with a doe after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So we only saw 3 deer
Yep.
till we were looking for blood, and then that other buck walked behind us, but Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
through the brush.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was easily the best hunt that I've been on this year.
Mm-hmm.
And for seeing mature bucks, too, because we did see 2 mature bucks that morning. The
Yeah.
big goofy one,
Yeah.
and then him. And he come in, we got good video of him, hit that twig, missed him. And
Yep.
then now yesterday,
Yesterday.
I'll let you
Yep.
take it over from there, because you'd been watching him.
Yeah.
And part of the story actually goes back to that other deer being killed, potentially.
Yeah. We thought that the 6x5 lived on the west side of the farm. Pretty much solidified by everything I saw yesterday, too. Yesterday was by far the most I've ever seen him. I watched him for an hour dinging around out there yesterday. He was like a herd bull.
Out of the same stand that you missed him out of.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
same spot. He was out there with like 6 or 8 does. I don't even know how many. He was just keeping all of these other bucks away from these does out there in the middle of that weed patch. I slipped in there as soon as I got in the tree. I was trying to put my coat on, and I realized that there was deer in the plot just as soon as I got up in the tree. Stands about 20 yards off the plot. I was looking out there, and I could just barely make out their gray silhouettes.
That seems to be a common occurrence, too, because both the times I sat there with you, there were deer right there. And the time you guys went and sat that stand, too,
Yeah.
there were deer right there at first light.
Yeah. They're there all the time. All the time, it feels like. And a lot of times they're not even really walking in front of that camera. A lot of times they stay more to the east and they don't even get on that camera. 3 does, when I finally got to where I could see, 3 does were in the plot. That's what I was seeing. That turned into 8 does pretty quick. There were just does everywhere underneath me. And to start off, I got in the tree and realized that I had a tripod, not a camera arm, because I'd been hunting out of the
Yeah, so once again, if you guys are looking for an awesome kill shot,
yeah.
episode 9,
Yeah.
it's not going to have it either.
I don't know how many minutes of
Back to that paid deal.
yeah. I don't know how many minutes of cell phone video you might use, but
If I was paying anybody, you'd all be fired, including myself.
yeah,
We'd have just folded it up and quit.
if you watch the episode, I'm gonna guess you need to skip forward to about the 8 or 9 minute mark, and somewhere in there, I'm probably gonna be sitting behind him, and then you can be like, "Well, there he is," and then you can, I don't know,
Use your imagination.
yeah, maybe turn it off.
Yeah,
I don't know.
as you have for the rest of the year. Just use your imagination.
Yeah.
The kill shot, that's the beautiful
Yeah.
thing about it. The kill shot can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. There's sun. There was a little bit of fog. It looked like a picture of Bambi or whatever, Anyway, yeah. If you guys are as frustrated as we are at this point with our lack of kill shots, you probably just turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, got up in the tree. I had the camera, I had a tripod, and I was like, if I try to do anything with this, I'm just gonna drop the camera.
Right.
So probably don't want to do that.
Appreciate it.
So I'm sitting up there, and there's deer just all over the food plot. There's those 8 does. A couple of them came in the woods there with me. I'm looking at them. I can't see them because they're under my legs. I mean, they're directly at the base of the tree. The wind was swirling. Can't believe they didn't smell me. Because I could feel it swirling, and it should have been hitting them right in the face.
Mhm.
40.
Was there much wind, though?
There was a little steady drift. Like
Less than 5 mile an hour?
yeah. Sitting there, I could feel it hitting the side of my face. I could feel the movement. It wasn't a breeze. I wouldn't even call it a breeze, but it was a steady drift.
Because we talked about it before, in those mornings like that, I mean, a lot of your scents going straight up.
Man, it was cloudy, cool, and damp. I didn't feel like thermals would be helping me at that point.
Yeah.
But whatever happened, they didn't smell me. Surprisingly.
Right.
All those does got busted by a couple of little bucks that came in. 2 little bucks came from opposite directions. They started fighting. At that point, I got my phone out, and I was like, I can at least try to video this and see if any of it's decent. And some of it's decent.
Right.
Certainly not great, but some of it's decent. I ended up with 3 different small buck fights in the food plot in front of me. I saw the 6x5 out in the weeds with a bunch of does take off running. They ran like 200 yards across the weed patch, and that's when I got to start watching him, was when they ran from the west corner out into the middle. He had his group of does out there in the middle. There was like a 130-inch 10-pointer. He looked like a 4-year-old 10-pointer. He was hanging out 120 yards away from me the whole morning.
You know that deer?
Nah. It might have been the one that I videoed in the big woods back around the 1st of November. That one that I thought, it might be him.
The one you thought maybe the one from last year?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I'm with you.
I don't want it to be the one, because, I mean, he's significantly smaller.
But that's the same deer, you think?
Yeah, I think it was the one.
Yeah, okay.
I think he's been MIA for 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer. But anyway, decent 10. Not huge, but decent. And one of the more mature bucks around, especially at this point. So he's out there dinging around in the head of a draw. He's just chilling. There was a couple little bucks went out there and kind of messed around with him. They didn't fight, but they were, just dinging around with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I had 3 different fights in the food plot. 2 different fairly mature bucks come up there, at least for the area, like the one west plot 8-pointer. He's always over there. He came in. You and I saw him Thanksgiving morning.
Mm-hmm.
He came in there. He was checking out what the fighting was about. There was another buck that was like a 7-pointer that he was at least 3 years old. And him and that 8-pointer kind of looked each other over,
Mm-hmm.
But the little guys, the little 6-pointers, little 8-pointers, I mean, they were just, banging their heads together as fast as they could.
Right.
They were just all fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw 10 bucks, maybe a couple more. There was the awfulest gob of little basket racks.
Mm-hmm.
They were just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They'd come in, they'd go out, they'd run out in the weeds, they'd come in the woods. They're just everywhere. The whole time, the 6x5 just kept his does out there in the middle. He finally got closer and in a hole where I thought I could shoot. And I thought, well, I mean, we've been trying to get him close all year, and I thought it's gun season and everybody's throwing lead,
Right.
I thought, I know the gun shoots very, very well. I thought if I can get my bow holder screwed in the tree here for a good solid rest, and I feel good about it, I will take a shot. Because I knew how far he was out there. Got down on him, got the bow holder screwed in, and I thought if he steps out of the hole, I don't feel bad at all.
Right.
He just stood there, and I'd been watching him for an hour, So I got that thing on the rest. I got leaned back in that stand and everything. I was kind of halfway shooting around the back side of the tree,
Mm-hmm.
With that angle. But I got my rest screwed in there. I got laid back, got good and calm. Took a shot. I knew I hit him. Couldn't tell where. He took off running, and he ran out there to where I could get another shot at him, and he actually got a little closer, and he was limping. I thought I've hit him in the front end, which was where I was aiming. I was aiming at the top of his shoulder.
Right.
Second shot, drilled him, and he disappeared 20 yards, 30 yards. He just disappeared going down into a draw. I never saw him come out of there. That was the same draw that 130-inch 10-pointer had been messing around in.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I drilled him with the second shot. Knew I did. So anyway, called Kaylee, told her, hey, I just shot him. She got super excited. She's like, oh, my gosh, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. Well, like you've said many times before, if he's dead there right now, he's going to be dead there in 2 hours.
Right.
So anyway, packed up my stuff, slipped out, called Blake. I knew you'd be probably elbows deep in deer at that point in the morning.
Yeah.
Here at the shop. So anyway, Slipped out, got some help, slipped back in there to where I shot him the second shot. I know I could get right to that spot. He's on one of the mowed paths out there in the CRP. So I knew I could get to that spot. And so I said, I'm just going to, ease down. That 10-pointer, that decent 10-pointer, 10 minutes after the shot, he shows back up right in that area. And I could see I could tell he's looking at something. I thought, he's looking at that buck. He's looking at the 6x5. And I could hear him grunting, I could hear him grunting at it. And he's looking. I'm looking at him through binoculars. He's just keyed in on something, right where he disappeared. So I thought he had to be right there.
Yeah.
And I watched him for like 20 minutes standing there. He was trying to figure stuff out. And I thought, something would have happened by now if he's not laying there dead. Finally, he eased off, and I was like, all right. So then I got down, got the help. We went back in there, went where I shot him, and just started easing in there because it's weeds. I mean, I didn't see any blood there immediately.
Yeah, it's hard to track in anyway.
Yeah. So I just started easing down through there, and 20, 30 yards right there where I thought he'd be, that's where he was. He's piled up. And that when we gutted him, that shot ended up hitting like the front edge of his heart. So I mean, he got all them big blood vessels coming off there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That was very quick. But, yeah, that was the story of the 6x5. I killed him with a gun out there slinging lead. Wish I could have got him with my bow.
We tried.
For sure. We tried and we failed.
Yep. And this is a deer, if you guys haven't listened to the podcast, that we talked about. We've talked about him pretty much all year. Talked about him last year because this is a deer you've watched for a couple years at least.
Yeah.
And thought he might have been a little bit taller last year.
Yeah, so surprising twist there. I've known since the spring. A guy that Blake used to work with has had both sides of his from last year. He picked him up directly across the road from our place. He was out there working in the field, and he picked him up. He's got both sides of his from last year. And he said he's actually going to give them to me. So I'm going to do something for him.
Right. And you'll be able to see if he did lose anything or not.
Yeah, I'd like to measure him. I'm now that we've seen him up close, he put on mass. He's definitely put on mass from last year.
Yeah, he's heavy.
But time length, I don't think I know he didn't get any taller.
Right.
He might have lost just a little bit. And then width, he might have got a little wider, but I thought he was fairly wide last year.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
For most of the bucks I got around.
For anybody who's listening that's not going to go watch this, which you should, or not going to see the deer, I'll put him on the episode art too, but this is a deer that had tine length, like you're talking booner pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because you were telling me measurements like 5.5 bases.
5 5/8, yeah.
5 5/8, yeah. And main beams.
They weren't too long. They were like 23.
But 23's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got points.
Yep, he's got a lot of points. He's always been a 6x5.
Really bad wanted to be a 7x5.
Yeah.
He's about a half inch shy.
He tried.
Yep.
Yeah. So honestly, last year his left side was definitely the biggest. Because he had 6 tines on his left side. Well, 5 tines in the beam. He had a solid 6 on his left side last year. His right side was 5. This year, the right side was 6. Almost wanted to be 7. The left side was just barely 5.
Yeah.
Because the left side, it's got that funny.
That one kicks back kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to call it a G2.
Yeah, it comes off the main beam, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But more than anything, it kind of wants to be an abnormal point.
Right.
The way it lies. I mean, it kind of sticks out.
Well, it's like almost like a great big flyer point. It's similar to the buck that Dusty shot, because he was actually, if you look at that deer and the pictures and stuff, that's actually his tube, but it almost looks like he hurt it, and it just laid it back. Because it matches. That deer almost matches perfectly, especially if you take a picture from like over top of it, like he had. He just looks normal, but that's just his tube that laid back, and it's kind of similar to that.
Yep. It's odd there.
It wasn't that way last year, was it?
No, he was very, very clean, very typical last
That's what
year.
I thought.
I mean, had the exact same frame, but like his brows and his frame and everything were exactly the same last year as they are this year. But he got a little trashy, on the right side this year. Both bases on the backs incredibly trashy, just little stuff. And then, but last year he had 3 nice tines on his left side, plus a little bitty G5 and a nice brow tine. But he had a nice 2, a nice 3, and a nice 4 last year.
Yeah.
On the left side. This year, really not. The right side's definitely stronger this year, but it's absolutely him.
We were definitely hoping he would be so bigger than he was right this year, even though he's still upper 150s deer.
Yeah.
Like he could have been he could have been that 170s, 180s deer for sure.
That tallest tine was 7 inches. Just not there.
Yep.
But
we talked about it too, I think, before, like with different people. And some guys like Blake, you saw Hightower took a big jump this year.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys didn't see jumps this year, and I think part of it is because of if you're in an area that was dry and they didn't have a ton of food that they normally have. I mean, given it was kind of wet in the spring, but still, they could have something to do with it. Because none of your deer really took a jump that you know of, right? The Circle 8's pretty much the same.
Man, he's
if that 110 pointer
identical.
is the one from last year, he's nothing like he was, but hoping he's not the same deer.
Yeah.
The 6x5 didn't make any kind of considerable jump.
Nope.
Right?
Nope. I think it'd be within 10 inches either way. But he says he's gonna give me them horns, so we'll be able to measure him.
Yeah.
We know what he is now. I'll measure burr to burr, to know exactly how he should lie, how far apart he should lie there, and we'll
It's a good thing about killing them is you know how wide their antlers are. You don't have to guess.
Yep.
Now
I got to cut me a 2x4 and wedge in there so I can make him. We'll end up with him 26 inches wide, right?
Mitch Rapallo over here.
I was gonna say, just don't let anybody X-ray it or anything. No real records.
We'll have them tines laid way out to the sides.
We'll have that
ears down at the bottom jaw.
We'll have that thing 28, 29 inches wide till we're done with it.
Yeah,
we'll get him to 165, Nate.
Oh, good grief!
Oh man, so that's kind of the story of the 6. But feel pretty good about him being 5.5 years old.
Yeah, I think so.
Which, okay, guys that have their farms in Iowa or whatever, a lot of them are managing 4 or 5.5 years old. But like, I feel like around here still, 5.5-year-old buck is not easily come by.
There was, you mentioned, I didn't even touch on it. That other buck that got killed. There was a tank of, what I think was a 4-year-old, staying a half mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile from where, it'd be 3/4 of a mile, approaching a mile from where I thought the 6x5's home range was, a core area. And then where I knew that other guy lived. He was just a tank of a 4-year-old 8-pointer, 130. I wouldn't even call him 135. He had weak 3s, but he was heavy this year. He looked really nice. I mean, he's a nice deer.
Yeah.
But he's just not a huge score, an 8-pointer. But he's a very nice looking deer.
Oh yeah, he's solid.
And a tank of a body this year. He really did. Passed him last year in the sprout patch. I videoed him for, I don't know, forever chasing does last year.
Yeah, that was that deer, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he only gained about 10 inches.
Hey, that video is on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
Somewhere. You'd have to go dig and find it. I
don't think he gained any more than 10 inches.
Yeah.
He put on a lot of body weight. Everything he had just got a little nicer, but not much. A little heavier, a little wider, a little taller. But he stayed over there, just at the very edge, at the east edge of our farm, and on the neighbors, and then kind of on the other neighbors, I thought. But he stayed in this one draw on the one neighbor's, 200 yards away from our edge, where I got the bean plot.
Yeah.
So, one of the bean plots. So anyway, he stayed right over there, and I would get him on 2 cameras. Every once in a while, I would get him on the south plot. Every once in a while, where I killed the 6x5.
Yeah.
The 6x5 I'd only get on the west side, the west plot and the south plot, and he's pretty consistent. There's a creek that separates all this, that separates the sprout patch from the south plot and the west plot. I feel like these two bucks had some sort of an agreement, I'm going to say.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
It was a hoof shake agreement.
I think so. I think they banged heads together and probably sorted it out some way or another.
Yep.
But that Big 8 rarely ever hit those cameras on the west side of the creek.
Mm-hmm.
And the 6x5 never hit cameras on the east side of the creek. Yeah, I'm confident they crossed the creek. But, like, I never have any evidence on the cameras that it actually happened.
They weren't doing incredibly often, it didn't seem like.
No. So I think their core areas somewhat overlapped and somewhat bordered right there on that creek. He got the 8-pointer got killed Sunday night of first gun season. I had him in the scope Sunday morning, first gun season before church. I thought, man, I'd love for Kaylee to get a chance at you. Mm-hmm. And I saw the draw he went down into, and we tried. I called her. She was at home with Royce. And I called her and I said, hey, he's working this draw. You need to come up here and we need to sit at the end of this draw until it's time to go to church, you know. Right. And I was just waking up Sunday morning, so we tried that. We never saw him. He had another way he could slip out of there, or he could have laid down, before the end of it. Yep. But that's a perfect ambush spot to do that. We've done it before. Mm-hmm. See him working this great big long draw, and you can get around and get ahead of him. But then he came out of that draw way down at the other end, at some point later on that evening, and the neighbors got him. Mm-hmm. He came out of there, and he put his nose to the wind, and he went right out on them, and they got him. But he's a big, nice buck. As soon as they killed him, like 2 days after he's dead, the 6x5 is going absolutely crazy on the cameras that he's always been on. Mm-hmm. Like crazy. I wondered, and it could be, that was November 20th was the last day of gun season, I think. 19th or 20th.
19th.
I mean, you're maybe getting to the point where they got to do some looking to find another hot doe. Yeah. They can't just stumble upon another one right away. You might be there at that point. So he could have just been, in a flurry trying to find him another doe there. Mm-hmm. Or he could have realized, hey, that other guy, he's not around. Yeah. I'm not seeing him. I'm not bumping into him. Whatever. So I wonder if that's got something to do with it, because the week of Thanksgiving, the 6x5 was going crazy. Mm-hmm. He really was. I saw him last Monday, the weekend after Thanksgiving, the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend. I saw him. He was within bow range of one of my stands. I drove by there, checking the cornfield there just before dark. There he stands like a statue in front of one of my stands. I was like, perfect. Mm-hmm. At least you're still there.
Right.
But I hadn't had any pictures of him since then. But anyway, he's still right there. Still right there. But anyway,
we talked about it, thinking he was probably as killable as he'd ever been right there that week.
He was everywhere on camera. Mm-hmm. I was getting his picture 4 and 5 times a day. Mm-hmm. To where I'd normally get him maybe once a day.
Yeah, I was pretty confident going into gun season that you were going to at least get a shot at him.
You said, I don't know, in the group chat, you said like on Wednesday, you're like, you're going to kill him this weekend. I was like, ha ha.
Yep. I actually said, I guess it would have been Wednesday. I think I hunted at the cabin. And in my closing interview, I said something about you having a pretty good chance at that 6x5 this weekend. Yada, yada. If not, see you next week, whatever. Hoping you'd get him on camera.
Yup.
But I said that, like, that I was feeling pretty confident. I told Dusty the same thing. I was like, hey, I'm not sure how much we got for this week, so if you get something, let me know, for the episode. I was like, but Nate's going to hunt, and he's got a really good shot at killing that 6x5. Like, I was pretty confident that you were going to kill him. Just as active as he'd been.
It happened.
Yep. And
not on camera.
Going in there with the gun, I mean, I felt like you had a really, really good chance. Because I felt like you could have sat that south plot for 3 days and you were going to see him at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Just how much he'd been there.
Yeah. So I had hunted, for sure, hunted the fringes. I can't remember. Thursday I set the north plot stand. I saw the Reed's Draw 8-pointer. Mm-hmm. The west plot 8-pointer. Mm-hmm. He was right there. He had a wad of does. Then Thursday evening, I sat the the new blind, the Rhino's blind. I set that one. Almost accidentally shot the West Plot 8-pointer because this wad of does come out, and I'm like, there's going to be a buck behind him.
Right.
There's going to be. I bet it's going to be the 6x5.
Mm-hmm.
I had my gun up on the rest there. I had the camera on the big opening there. I was recording. I had it zoomed in properly to where I could punch it and zoom in just a little bit more. Everything was set up perfect. And here came the horns out, and I was like, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
He walks into there, and, like, I get him in the scope, and I'm looking at him. And I was like, he doesn't look very white. His horns don't look very white. And I'm studying, and I was like, safety back on. I don't want to shoot you.
Right.
And then I think I even said on camera, I was like, that was almost bad. But, yeah, he came out there again Saturday morning, set the sprout patch, saw a bunch of does. They were hammering the inner sanctum. Those guys were coming out there in that big leafy kale.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could not get enough of that. They were eating it like crazy, going across the creek in the thick spot and laying down.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what they were doing, lay down and chew their cud or whatever.
Right.
You know. And then I bumped the goofy buck coming out of there. I had to go down and change the batteries on that cell camera in the sprout patch. When I was coming out, I bumped the goofy buck. And he let me get out of the blind and get down the ladder, and he was 40 to 50 yards away from the blind the whole time, back in the thicket behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, that was bulletproof, because I know there were 6 does laying 80 yards in front of the blind on the other side of the creek.
Yep.
And I got down and all the way to that camera, changed those batteries, and nothing happened.
Yep.
If they did see me, I don't think they did, but if they did see me, they held tight.
Mm-hmm.
They never hold tight.
Right.
They're wild.
Yes.
And
especially does like that.
Holy smokes.
In that area with all the yoders,
Yeah.
they see something on 2 feet, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the goofy buck, he let me get out of the blind, and I only bumped him because I was trying to sneak back through over to the fence line
Mm-hmm.
to get out of there, because I thought the chances of me making it out of there without those does seeing me, I knew where they
You
were.
said this was the morning or the evening?
This was the morning.
Okay.
It had rained.
Thursday night.
That was the rain, wasn't it?
Yeah, you was sitting in the rain. That's why you went to that blind.
Yeah, it rained all night Thursday nights. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and breaking daylight, it was still raining some. So yeah, and then I bumped the goofy buck. I turned the camera on, got my picture. 5 minutes later, he walks in front of the camera. He didn't even run when I bumped him.
Mm-hmm.
He jumped up and took 2 big jumps, and then he just kind of walked. And he walked in front of the camera 5 minutes later.
Yeah. That's why I'd asked if it was morning or night, because I sat in the rhino's blind there at the cabin on the new plot a few weeks ago now, and it was evening. Those came out right at last light, and a doe and 2 fawns, and maybe another doe. There may have been 4 of them. And they were like 30 yards away. I'm sitting there waiting. It gets dark to where there was enough moonlight where I could kind of see them. It was clear, so I could kind of tell where they were at. They were probably 60 yards. And then I was like, I'm getting out of here. Like, it's dark. I'm tired of sitting here waiting on them. I'm just leaving. So I got down and got out, and they let me get all the way to the ground. As soon as I stepped on the ground, they took off. But it wasn't 5 minutes later, they were back in the plot.
Yeah.
Like, did not care.
Yep. I did, I think, really well getting out of there. Friday morning. Friday evening, went back to the rhino's blind, the new one there. Wad of does again, and then one of the 3-year-old bucks that I saw Saturday morning. He was digging around. It was dark enough that I was looking down toward the edge of the woods, and I couldn't see nothing. And all of a sudden, I see something get white down there. Like, noticeably something got white in this spot. I was like, what on earth is going on? So I pulled my binoculars up, and that guy has stepped straight out of the brush, and he's facing me, and he's got his head up working a licking branch, and I can see his white patch.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his head up high enough to where I can see his white patch there. And he puts his head down, squares up just normal, and he, disappears.
Uh-huh.
So, anyway, I could see his white patches. He was working that licking branch when he walked out. That's the only thing that I could see.
Yeah.
And then he got up there closer, and I could see in the gray light, he's like a 7-pointer.
Yeah.
But he's a 3-year-old. Came walking up through there. got on those trails and trotted after them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fairly uneventful other than Saturday morning. And Saturday morning was absolutely wild.
Yeah.
With a tripod in the tree stand.
Of course.
Tripod in a tree stand. A big dumb guy trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. You figured it out.
Trying to get a bow hanger screwed in the tree to use as a gun rest. What kind of idiot?
You needed one of those dadgum hip things that we see at the shows all the time. What do they call those
Steady
things?
shooter. I don't
Something
know.
like that.
Ready,
You
steady.
put it on your hip and it holds your gun
Yep.
stay. Yeah. See if you'd have bought one of those like everybody else and their brother.
Man, it was a heck of a deal. Heck of a deal. But I mean, I guess that's what gun season is.
Mm-hmm. It's a heck of a deal.
It's a heck of a deal. So, like, I was sitting out there thinking, like, that slug gun, the ballistics on all these loads, like, perfectly. It tells you down to the 10th of an inch how much it's going to drop at this distance and that,
Mm-hmm.
I know how they're sighted in. It shoots really, really, really good. I got on a good rest. I knew how far he was out there, and I was like, all you got to do is be holding steady to make the shot, and that should be what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then at that point,
Because there was no wind.
no. And so then at that point, I'm thinking, if I can shoot 250 yards in every direction, this deer just has to walk
You're right.
within a quarter mile by a quarter mile circle.
Uh-huh.
And as long as there's not something in my way, I think I can shoot at it. I mean, like, you're sitting there and you're thinking with a bow, I'm absolutely limited to 40 yards. I'm not going to shoot any further.
45.
I want him at 15 right here,
Right.
Eating acorns. But,
Right.
like, with a gun, you're just wanting him, like, if you're standing in the middle of a 40-acre field, you can pretty much shoot every bit of it. Maybe the corners, are just a little
Right.
too far. But, like, you can shoot the whole thing. And when you're sitting there thinking about that, you're like, wow, this is not difficult.
Yeah, right.
Like, this changes everything.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
If we're golfing, I got the putter the whole time.
Exactly.
And now all of a sudden they've just given me the $600 driver.
Yep.
And they're like, go for it.
Have at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. It's
That does not help my golf game at all.
still gonna miss.
Yeah. You can hit the whole course, but you're just not going to go
I'm
where
hitting
you
the
want.
water every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him. I watched him for an hour standing out there. And he's right on the edge, like of where I thought I could shoot. But I wasn't even thinking about it. I was like, I'm not gonna shoot at him that far. And then I don't know.
You sit there long enough and watch him, you're like, yeah, I can shoot that far.
And then you get to thinking about it. I don't know. I mean, you get to thinking about it, and it's like most other people around here, if they can see him out in that field, they're going to dump the gun,
Well, I think me or Canyon told you to shoot him.
I think you did. Yeah.
Probably you, I think.
Yeah, because I was sitting there trying to see a duck, but there ain't no ducks. But so I was having to entertain myself through you.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Living vicariously.
Yep. So anyway, yep, there it was. Killed him with a gun. Reached out and touched him.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
End of story.
You touched him, all right.
Yeah.
End of story.
Speaking of that whole gun season thing, though, boy, did I get some people riled up on Facebook with Friday's episode. And I don't know. First of all, I got nothing against gun hunting at all. I could go do it if I wanted to. I just don't want to. Like you said, we're busy at the shop, but I could go for 2 hours in the morning on the weekends and be fine because everybody else is hunting too. We don't get too busy until 9:30, 10 o'clock when people start coming in, right?
Yep.
So I could go do it. I just don't want to do it. I got nothing against it, though. Like, I think it's great. Guys, it allows a lot of people to go that can't go normally. A lot of guys make vacations out of it and whatever. I suggested that if we look at our neighbors like, I don't know, Iowa.
Where the big deer are.
Yeah, and maybe why some of the reasons for that could be maybe that they don't have a gun season where you're talking you can shoot an entire 40-acre field right smack dab in the middle of what should be the peak of the breeding.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that just, if you're an insurance company, you love it.
Yeah.
If you're paying a lobbyist to talk to politicians about when the shotgun firearm season should be for deer. It should be right here at the peak of breeding when all these deer are running around, right? Or when they should be locked down, for that matter. But
and they're going to say for like the 9 days that you don't have it open there, you should open it into.
Exactly.
That's what they're going to say.
Yeah. So I suggested that we even add 3 days to the season, if you want. Just move it to the first Friday of December to the following Sunday, which would give you 10 days, and it gives through the week for guys who can't take vacation, or for guys that work weekends and maybe won't be able to go on the typical like it is now, right? So it gives more people an opportunity. Obviously, you can kill big deer in December. Promise, I've seen it done. I've seen a lot of big deer killed in December.
Every single year.
Every second season, we get a lot of big deer. We had the biggest deer we got in this year yesterday, or the day before. I think it was yesterday. One of the biggest, like top 3, for sure. But a lot of people did not like that at all. A lot of people agreed with it, too, or thought it was a decent idea. And some people will actually have a conversation about it, which is kind of what I wanted to do, just like open up the conversation and see what people thought, which, you know, we got that. Some people just don't. They think something of it is just not very much. and I don't know. I think people see that, man, it's the rut, so it's going to be better automatically if I'm out there hunting then, and like they don't want to give that up. And my other point was, like, now with crossbows being legal for all of archery season, there like 2 points with that. Not only does it make it to where we have more deer harvested with archery equipment, so all the people that are saying, well, gun season's been in the middle of November since Moses was a baby in Illinois, you know, well, you haven't been able to use crossbows all year since Moses was a baby in Illinois. That makes a difference on the total number of deer. And not only deer, but bucks and younger bucks, because I promise I see it.
Yeah. Well, when they first put the gun season in, look at the equipment that you was using during archery season. Like,
Exactly.
it was pitiful.
Yeah. Right.
Even the gun equipment was pitiful back then. Like,
So you're not nearly as efficient as you are now.
Yeah.
Even before crossbows, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, just look at the archery equipment and the firearm equipment that they were using even 4 years ago or whatever.
Smooth bore barrels with lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, even before right before they put in crossbows, like, take that versus what you're talking about, the smooth bore lead ball, basically.
Most of the guys around here was using double aught.
Right? Well, exactly.
Yeah, smooth bore balls.
Yeah. So,
Multiple.
yeah. You
Brush
take
busters.
They didn't care if there was brush.
right.
Brush busters.
Yep. You just needed 2
gosh.
shots, one to bust the brush and the other to get him.
Oh, gosh.
But that's one point of it to me, is your harvest is already up, right? So you're kind of adding to that, which I'm not saying we don't have enough deer, because there's a lot of deer around still, even though this year's been kind of tough. I think we've had some EHD in places, and it's been, whether it's killing deer or not, if it makes them sick, they're not going to be moving as much, all that kind of stuff. But also, crossbows are legal, so if you want to hunt the middle of the rut and you can't do it with a regular bow, or you want to be able to shoot 60 yards, get a crossbow, come up to Illinois or down or over, or go out if you already live here on November 15th, 17th, 20th, and still go hunting with a crossbow. Like, if you don't want to do it with a bow, like if that's your big holdup, get a crossbow. Go hunt them that same weekend that you always do, and then we can still move the gun season. And then if you don't kill them with a crossbow for whatever reason, go kill them in December with a gun.
I think talking about the early guns, I think crossbows are at least
As effective
as guns were, 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe even more so.
Yeah. Because, like, if you get a Raven, and I'm not saying that a crossbow is like a gun now, because, I mean, like you're talking about, you're not shooting a 40-acre field with a crossbow.
No.
However, if you can put crosshairs on an animal and squeeze a trigger, you can kill them within 60 yards.
I've specifically overheard people at the restaurant up at home, he's like, I shot this deer at 82 yards with my crossbow.
Which is wild.
Absolute, like, unbelievable. Like,
and not everybody that shoots crossbows does that.
No.
But you, like...
Oh, man.
Like, you can be really effective out to 60 yards with one.
Yep.
Fairly easy.
Yep.
So,
very easy.
like you're saying, at one time, that would have been... And not that long ago. Like, before we had before they allowed pistol rounds like your 300 blackouts and the muzzle loaders got to where they are now, like guys were shooting 100 yards was a long shot during firearm season.
Yeah.
When we were to shotguns and the muzzle loaders that we had.
Like the way I remember, guys would be aiming at the middle of a pie pan size target or something, and they're like, yeah, it's going to probably hit the pan,
Right.
And they're considering that good enough. And I mean, kill zone, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But like
it ain't what it is now.
No, now with our rifle barrels and the rifled slugs and then the straight wall rifle cartridges even. I mean, we're talking
that Dairy Queen cup, easy.
Skull can sizes at 150.
Yeah.
200.
Yeah. When you couple that with the crossbow usage and like it or not, and whatever your opinions are on that, it definitely has increased the harvest.
Yeah, isn't archery hunt numbers the same as gun numbers now?
Like they got to be close.
Yeah, they're right there.
And that's just for me. I looked up the last couple years, and I was going to go back and look up what they were prior to crossbow, and then I got busy. But like just even kind of anecdotally looking at the shop numbers, the bow numbers have increased.
I gotta say, I think the numbers
exponentially
for crossbow kills were 50% last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt
archery.
it. I wouldn't doubt it. So, and my point is not to start the crossbow thing again, but that, in my mind, that plays into it. That's a big factor into why I think it would be beneficial to move to gun season. And my thing is like the people that get all up in arms about it and upset, it would be better for them too, in my opinion, because they want to say, oh, well, the bow hunters are the purist or whatever, and they just whine, and I don't kill a 200-inch every year, so I'm going to complain about something. Like, it's not that. It's just if we kill less, immature bucks, if we'd shoot some more does, like our herd numbers would be better. We would have more mature bucks if they could breed. If they were allowed to breed without getting shot at when they were supposed to, we'd probably have healthier deer as well. Because I've seen a ton in the last couple years of, and maybe it's been like this for a while, but like really small fawns in the fall. Like I would say probably a quarter of the fawns that I see, I think are probably way too small. You know what I mean?
I've got two very tiny ones that live there around the South Plot camera.
Yeah, we saw them the last morning we went.
I mean, those guys don't do anything but stay in about 100-yard circle in the east end of the Northwoods. I mean, that is where they live, and they're two little tiny buddies. They're twins.
Yep.
And I mean, they're small.
Yeah, and I think bucks not getting to breed during when they normally would plays into that because then they got to wait a whole nother almost a month.
I'm thinking we got
too many does. I think the doe population is way out of control.
Yeah, and the guys don't shoot does anymore.
Specifically for around me, where I'm at, I think I've got so many does that
they don't all get bred the first time.
Correct. So then, when it happens in December,
January,
potentially January, and then when some of those early fawns do come in, that's happening.
And then it's a cycle.
Yeah,
because those early fawns get to the weight side, the weight that they're going to be coming into estrus, like they reach that body weight or whatever it is. Then they have late-born fawns, and then those late-born fawns are going to be even later coming into estrus, and then it becomes a cycle.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm confident that my problem, that a problem there for me, too many does. They're honestly not all getting bred, so then they do get bred in December when they come in again.
Yep.
Potentially January if something's missed or it doesn't stick or whatever, Then you're looking at January, and then you're looking at her having fawns in late July, early August, whatever it is.
Yep.
Me and Blake were talking a couple of nights ago. When I hunted a new little patch Friday night of first gun season. It's just a little brushy draw. I had a good wind. I was going to get in the creek, crawl up through that creek, get up there in the middle. There's supposed to be a good buck went in there that morning. So I was going to try it. I didn't have a good wind for anything else. I was kind of curious what this was going to be. I jumped a doe that was laying 15 yards off the road. I mean, I parked my truck at the corner of the field, walked 50 yards, down to get in this ditch. She jumps up 15 yards off the road. I mean, like, she's right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept waiting for the buck to jump out. I thought, he's going to be right there.
Right.
You know, like, that's the only reason she's up here. He's pushed her up here.
Mm-hmm.
I stood there for 5 minutes and nothing happened, and she's long gone. You know, and I thought he would have jumped by now, so I went ahead and slipped on. I'm confident she was hot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confident she didn't want to get chased. She'd found a spot she could hide, and she thought she could just wait it out, you know. I don't know if she realizes she's going to come back in or not, you know.
Right.
But I think in her mind right then, she's like, I'm just going to avoid all this.
She's getting harassed.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to avoid all this and hide from everybody.
Yep.
And this problem's going to go away.
Yep.
You know. But, like, I don't know. We've heard other people talk about, like, the most mature does just go and seek out a mature buck. They think, you know, some of the most mature does, when they know they're coming in, they just go to what they know is a mature buck, and they just get it over with, you know, and they don't do the chasing thing. He's big enough. He's been through it enough. He's like, if I don't have to chase you, you know, this would be great.
Yeah,
I'm going to get
exactly
what I want, and I don't have to do much for it.
And that's the other thing we talk about, too, with a lot of does is the bucks are running around like crazy. They're they're rutting for like a month straight.
Correct.
Instead of 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, like this buck, I mean, he's still very big. The 6x5, he's still very big in the front end, but you can feel his spine. You know, and I mean, he's not. He's run down. He's still big.
Yeah.
He's still plenty
His
big.
body frame's there. It's just not much fat.
And if you look at the
He didn't
video,
have no fat on his back end.
like we were talking about, and you see that a lot up here at the shop when we're cutting them up. A lot of those mature bucks later in the rut don't have a lot of fat on them. They're burning it off. But like you look at the video we were talking about of that 6x5 that we took the day you missed him.
He's huge body deer.
Pretty studly.
Yes. Yep. So
Yeah,
you know he's running himself ragged.
Yeah, he's lost a lot.
That was over 2 weeks ago, though.
Yeah.
So he's done a lot of running.
Oh, yeah. And if you got more does, they're going to have to do more running, which leads into them having to put on more body weight instead of having excess to where they can build antler growth, right? So that plays into it, too.
Yeah.
And I do think if the gun season was in December, guys would kill more does because they're not seeing as many bucks, or in their mind, okay, it's not in the middle of the rut anymore, so, like, I may not get a chance at a buck. I need to fill my tag.
That doe's not going to have a buck behind her.
Exactly. That's the other thing. Like, I think more does would get killed, at least for the first few years, and I think that would be a benefit. And it would be tough. Like, it's not going to be the same for the first few years, but eventually, like, as the process works itself out, there are going to be more mature bucks for everybody to hunt.
What?
Not just bow hunters. I'm not just looking out for the bow hunters.
I've talked to the guy at church today, and we both agreed that maybe, because there's parts of Missouri that's an earner buck state, or earner buck.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be beneficial.
Could be. Definitely for, like, a period of time.
Yeah, for a couple years to get the does down, because the doe numbers are just crazy.
Yep. The only thing that I see, and it's not a huge number of people anymore, but, like, and again, I keep going back to the shop just because we do see a lot of hunters and a lot of deer, right? But the guys that are, like, they're out there and they're going to shoot the first deer they see, maybe the only deer they see all weekend if they don't, like a guy's got 10 acres and he's wanting to put meat in the freezer and he goes out and he's got one fence row to hunt. If all he sees is a little buck,
he's going to shoot it.
He wants to shoot it.
I would have been screwed this year because I shot my buck on opening day. Like,
right.
But I don't know how they would do it. Like, could you take the does from the year before so you can earn a buck for the next year? Because I think there's the city deer in Iowa that's that way. You have to shoot so many does that year so you can earn a buck for the next fall.
And I'd actually heard, I think it was Higgins talking about this, and he made a good point about it, was like, for a state like Illinois, it's tough too because we have electronic
turn in.
Yeah, so like
people's going to cheat that.
Put it in. And then even if you go to a check station, even if you go to a check station, all the roadkill goes away. Like no deer are getting hit by cars anymore because you see a doe on the side of the road.
Picking it up.
You're throwing that thing in.
Yeah.
So, but like for the honest people, like the half of us that would be honest about it.
Would it be even half?
Well, for the number of us that would be honest about it, if you did it for a few years, I think it would have an impact.
Yeah.
And I do think a lot of guys have been mentioning like going to a one buck state, which you have control over shooting one buck as it is, but some people are not going to.
Yeah.
They have two tags, so they're going to shoot 2 bucks, whether it's 2 5-year-olds or 2 2-year-olds. You know what I mean?
You don't see that in the shop, do you?
No, never 3. No, we don't see people shooting 3 bucks. I shouldn't say that. That's illegal. But Don't look at me like that. Where was I going with that? I done lost my train of thought.
I don't know.
Oh, the $1 thing.
Yeah,
I really do think if, again, looking at like Iowa or even Kansas to this extent, if we went to, and I've heard non-residents say like they would be for it. Like if we went non-residents a draw state, even if it was every other year, like 50% odds to draw, I think that would benefit too.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you're getting in the government's pocket.
But
see, they could charge for the draw though. Then they
that's
can
the
charge.
thing, though. You have to buy a hunting license to draw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you could charge for the draw so you can get your points.
Yep.
Then you still have to pay an astronomical price for your tag once you do draw.
Yeah. And I don't have it. Again, I've said this before, and we've had guys on the podcast that we like that are out-of-staters. I have nothing against guys coming from
No, they're doing the
out-of-state
same thing that we're doing.
Exactly. I just think it would
Benefit
that's
the
one
local
way
guys.
that could benefit, and it would benefit them too.
Yeah.
And that's the conversations I've had with the out-of-state guys. They're like, if I could only hunt Illinois every other year, but I knew it was going to be a better hunt, then I would come do it.
Yeah.
I think that it would be
I'd
less.
be okay with it.
I
You
think it'd
know
be
what
less
mean?
crowded, so people could have better quality deer.
There you go too, because you talk to any of those guys when they get on public land in the
It's
first week
crowded.
in November.
Well, I think the public land is just a fad right now because
That
the past
too.
few years.
Yeah, that too. But like, it would go down by half potentially. Because most local guys around here are hunting permission or they've got their own ground.
Yeah.
Most guys. There are some guys that hunt public, but a lot of guys that are hunting public ground around here are out-of-state guys.
I've driving around the park up there at home. It kind of splits. I got one piece of property on the other side of it, so I mean I drive by there pretty often.
Yep.
Very, very few vehicles parked there this year. Like in years past, some of them little parking lots would be jam-packed full of people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, honestly.
Yep.
You drive, I drive the north edge of it pretty often. That's where the main part of the hunting is. Sometimes it would be nothing to see 15 trucks.
Yeah.
This year you drive through there, 2 or 3 trucks,
Really?
maybe. That's an 1,140 acre piece, you know. And I'm guessing there's 600 acres to hunt there. I'm gonna say half. I'm gonna say half of it.
But it's pretty good, I feel like.
I mean, if a guy owned it, you know,
It'd be phenomenal.
Right.
If a guy had control over that, you know, and could do with it what you wanted, and didn't have just people running wild, it'd be
That what you're talking about there with those 2 trucks would be more common if it was a draw, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Back to the $1 thing. I would have been way more picky.
Oh yeah,
Well, if I only had $1.
for sure.
Oh,
like
me
that
too.
that opening day buck, I would no way.
Right. You're not going to burn your 1 tag on that.
No,
Yeah.
even though he's a great deer, 138 inch
Yeah.
8-pointer, like
Yeah.
that's a solid deer, 4-year-old. But I'm not gonna burn it on one, especially on opening day.
Exactly. And
Yep.
and even like again, going back to Iowa, like it's 1 tag. You can get 1 archery tag. You can also get a muzzleloader or firearm tag. I think a buck tag. So you can shoot 1 and 1, and then I think you can get another one if you own land. So I think you could shoot 3 bucks if you own this right amount of property. You shoot 1 with a firearm and you shoot 1 with a bow, right? So
Yeah.
I would even be in favor if we went like, okay, you can shoot 1 with a bow and a landowner tag, you know, or maybe 1 with a bow, 1 with a firearm.
Well, what's Missouri?
Or just 1 buck straight across. Missouri is 2,
$2.
I believe.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a total deer. And Missouri has an antler point restriction. They have to have 4 on one side.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
So a big 6-point UB.
That's why I don't like the antler point restrictions, because it has, I don't know, like, I'm sure they've researched it and studied it since they've started that, but I just am curious to know how much impact it actually has on age structure.
Like, we got a buddy that shot a big 6-pointer last year. Like,
We
and
see
I know-
them all the time.
And I know a guy that shot I think he scored 120 as a 6-pointer, like,
yeah.
this year.
Yep.
I'm like, how could you get written up for shooting something like that?
Right. I mean, but by those rules, you got to let it go.
They'd
hurry up
they'd
and-
be writing me a ticket because
Hurry
I'm
up
shooting
and build an
this-
epoxy sculpt. Or,
Impala
epoxy
time.
sculpt or tying on there.
Get your Play-Doh out.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why, like, in my opinion, it's nice to see that they're trying something
That
Where-
was mainly
where
an East
we-
Coast
where we don't.
mentality, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
think
think so.
so.
Yeah.
But because, like, Pennsylvania has that, I believe.
And
They have
they-
an antler point restriction, correct?
All them little states.
Yeah.
Like,
over
yeah,
there,
New
too.
York. Not that that's a little state, but East Coast. Yeah.
I didn't know this till the other day that
Connecticut,
PA
no.
can't hunt on Sundays.
I did not either.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't know that until I was
A lot of
listening to
religious influence out there.
Yeah.
There is. There's also a ton of people that hunt.
Yeah. Like, PA is loaded.
One of the biggest hunter densities, like them in Michigan.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's why they don't get deer over 2 years old.
Exactly. Then we talk about that, too. Like, we're talking about 4.5-year-old deer here being mature, like shooter bucks. Iowa, it's 5.5, 6.5 probably. In places, 4.5, sure. Like Michigan, Pennsylvania, if you see a 2.5-year-old buck,
You're shooting.
especially a 3.5-year-old buck, like that's a trophy deer.
Absolutely.
You got to take that into consideration. But we're trying to like figure out ways where we can get to the point of us having more 4.5, 5.5+ year old deer.
Yeah.
Good neighbors.
Yeah. I talk about it a lot too, and I think one of the podcasts I was listening to recently, they hit on a lot of good points of why certain states don't have, and the gun season is one of them. But it's so hard to get states to change anything, especially if it's making them money. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we, as the hunting population, have to kind of take it upon ourselves to do things differently. And we've done podcasts on like the management part of things, where guys are managing better for bigger bucks. There's more food plots now than I ever remember. If you look on OnX,
there are patches everywhere.
Yeah, which is a good thing to see. Like that's great. They got food, right?
For sure.
And it means that more people are hopefully managing for more mature deer, because why would you spend the kind of time and money to put in a food plot and then
to shoot a 2-year-old?
And some people do. That's fine.
But if that's what they want, go right ahead.
But at some point, I think they grow out of that. You know what I mean?
You hope.
Yeah. So, but I think there's limited things that the state is going to do. I think there are things that they could do that would obviously benefit, like what we're talking about, potentially earn a buck, potentially $1, moving the gun season back. But it's on us as hunters to like make it better for everybody.
Yeah.
Like
our dollar's got to weight their dollar, though.
Right. It's like, if you want to shoot a 3.5-year-old buck, great. That's fine. Go shoot him. If you want to hunt mature deer, let that one walk. Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Try to advance the age class in your area. Shoot a doe or two every year.
Yeah.
It needs to happen.
Yeah.
It needs to happen.
Hey, I got my one. I'm going to shoot at like 3 more.
I'm probably going to shoot the next 1 or 2 that walk by me, because I got 2 tags and I haven't killed anything all year.
We should probably go to the sprout patch.
I will kill any of your does that you want, and I won't even shoot your bucks. I don't care. I need to kill something.
So I was actually having a blast all day Thursday evening and all day Friday. Because I made a whole pot of coffee before every hunt, and I just took the whole thing with me in a big thermos, and I just drank coffee the whole time in those blinds. It was great.
Yeah.
It was like it was great.
Yep. Those blinds are awesome.
Yeah. Urine was a problem.
Well, yeah, but
I just had to pee out of the windows.
Yep.
I made sure to pee out of the downwind side, right?
I honestly don't know that they care that much.
So
this time of year, no.
Yeah, but yeah.
You didn't want to pee all over the blind.
No, I made sure to pee out of the downwind side. That way they didn't smell it, right?
Right, yeah. Yep.
So, but yeah, anyway, I'm sitting there thinking like, my gosh, I hope somebody's not got a spot and scope on me right now.
I think that every time I piss
80 power is what they're going to be
needing. Yeah, I'm going to say.
But
well,
yeah.
Fortunately for me, they're going to have a really good spot and scope.
So, well, those little twin fawns, them tiny fawns, those guys had came up there because I got in at like, I don't know, 1:30 or 2 o'clock on Friday evening. Like, man, it was early. But I thought, I'll go out there, and because they didn't move too great Friday morning. I saw several does, but like I was expecting more. But I thought it rained all night, Thursday night. Cell cameras haven't been too crazy. I didn't get anything Thursday night. A few Friday morning, but I didn't see too much. No midday action on Friday. I thought Friday night they're going to move early, so I got out there early. And like those two little fawns came right up to me like 20 minutes after I got there. They were just camping, eating acorns, going out and eating acorns, and like they're within 50 yards. And I'm sitting there, I was like, wow, I got to pee. So, I just got up, went over to the window, and I started peeing. And I like get my head down where I can look out, and they're studying what was going on. Like, what is this noise?
Yeah.
You know, like hearing it hitting the ground. They're like, what is this noise? And they freaked out. And they ran back to the edge of the woods. They stood there for a while.
Yeah.
Then they came back. Yeah, but
Why is that blind leaking?
yeah.
Why is it raining out of that one spot?
Yeah. And then I actually read another thing. There was another guy somewhere. There was a bunch of guys talking about, because like I've really never wanted to pee out of a stand. I really never have. I have some, but like I really never have. I just didn't want. I wanted to leave. You know, the only scent was my ground scent from my boots. You know, and then like everybody saying that they pee out of their stand. It's like nobody cares. And I was like, man, I don't like it. I don't want to. But yeah, it was happening this weekend. It was happening.
Yeah, I've always just let her eat.
I've got to smell like an old coyote or something. You know,
I've heard enough people that are a lot smarter than me that have killed a lot bigger deer and a lot more of them than me say, pee out of the stand. So I do it.
It's a very common theme. I don't know what Facebook page I was on, but everybody's like, "Nah, just do it." And there was one guy. He's like, "I got 2 Gatorade bottles." He said, "I drink out of the other one. I drink out of one, and the other one is wrapped completely in black electrical tape." And he said, "You know which one I don't drink out of?"
Yeah, pretty good idea.
But yeah, he said he pees.
There's probably a reason it's wrapped in black electrical tape, because there was probably a time when it wasn't.
Yeah. But yeah, he's like, "I pee in that thing," and he said, "I dump it on the way to the truck." And then everybody's like, "I don't want to be carrying a jug of that around with me, you know."
Right.
Just pee. But yeah, anyway. And then also talking about Facebook, I have noticed on Facebook this year, maybe I just haven't noticed before, but like there were a lot of guys in this part of the world, mainly just south of this part of the world, but still in Illinois, and they're like, hunting is absolutely pathetic. Like a lot of these guys down in the southernmost part of the state. And like a guy that I used to work with, even he lives down there, kind of around the 24 split off, I think, just south of Marion. And he's like, "Man, we're hunting to see deer."
Yeah,
you know, and I think some of the the really poor management practices, and potentially a combination with DHD, some of that stuff.
It's been a slow year for me. Like overall.
Yeah, like. I think guys are struggling, at least in pockets.
And I think I think it was Drury I actually heard talking about this. He was talking about the HD, and I kind of said it earlier. Like, even if it's not killing them, if they've got it and it's making them sick, they're not going to get up and move as much. You're not going to see them.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, just because it's not killing them, you're not finding them dead, doesn't mean it hasn't hit them.
Yeah. Because they're still trying to not die.
Exactly. Like, they can live through it, and there is some immunity built up. Like, the deer in the South, they have it every year.
Yep.
So, like, there's immunity built up in them, and they actually pass that down to their fawns. But, like, these deer, if they've been through it, which we've had some hits of it, in the past few years, and it's very spotty, where it happens and where it doesn't, especially when it comes to the rainfall. That's what it comes down to mostly. But as dry as it was this year, I would not be surprised if that's a big factor in it. And like what you're saying, too, like if you have combined that with poor management, it's going to be tough to even see deer.
Yeah.
And that's kind of part of the reason that I got to thinking about the whole firearm season thing was like, I would hate for it to be like that. And people are very front sight focused, I guess, like they're right here. And you're not looking 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road. Like, what's it going to be like if we keep
hammering these things at 2
with the equipment that we have available to us, with guys shooting, more people hunting, which is, in my opinion, overall it's a good thing, but like you have to adjust for it somehow. You can't just keep killing all these deer, especially the bucks, young bucks, and expecting it to be fine in 10 years.
If you're wanting to eventually shoot something big.
Exactly. And I think we all are, and I think Illinois would be smart to look at how much that could benefit their pocketbook too, because I think I mentioned on that Friday episode, if we keep this up and somewhere down the road a big deer for our area is 135, 140
We are
going
to be the Michigan and PA.
What's going to make a guy want to spend $1,000 on his trip to come
when
up
he can shoot
here?
130 inch?
when he could shoot 125-inch deer in Georgia or Alabama. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you waste a week of your time and $1,000 plus, when you're talking permits,
fuel,
licenses, fuel, stay, and
food.
Yeah, all that stuff, like when you can just do it at home.
Yeah.
And I think people, because of the deer that we have and the deer that we still see killed, can't see past that, and they don't see that far down the road. But I could definitely see it happening.
They're all about the now. They're all about that Facebook like on that.
Exactly.
They're all about the Instagram post, just getting that.
Yep.
Glory on
and it's
social
amazing,
media.
like when you see these people that are commenting all the really negative stuff, and like you can tell they don't even want to consider any other opinions. Like if you click on their profile, and I only did it to a few of them, but like. What their profile pictures look like and what the stuff they post, they're exactly what you're talking about. Like they're just in it for that social media gratification, instant gratification, and like not true conservation.
Yeah.
The other thing is brought up again is like how much that we hate on each other, and like hunters just, oh my gosh, like that Southern Illinois page that I run. Those guys on there are just bashing each other all the time and climbing on one another about just dumb stuff.
I get a good kick out of it.
I mean, it's definitely entertaining. And I would like to think that's not representative of, like, the whole hunting population, because the guys we talk to here, like, everybody's pretty cool, you know. But it's the keyboard warriors on social media. It's just annoying. But people see that, and then that's what they get. That's their opinion of the hunting, group, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know.
Archery equipment today versus the 80s. It's at least 100% more effective, right?
Oh, easily.
If you were shooting 15 and 20 yards in
they
the
couldn't
80s.
even shoot 100 yards, and now
or archery.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like to people nowadays, like I practice at 80 and 90 to 100 yards all the time.
Yeah, they weren't practicing at 100.
No.
Shooting less than 200 feet a second pretty easily.
Yeah.
If we're shooting 30 and 40 yards, I think they were shooting 15 and 20 yards at deer.
And hit, and
And then crossbows are 300% more effective.
Yeah.
You can do 3 times with a crossbow what they were. And then guns are at least 100% more effective
than they were.
You've at least doubled your distances.
Oh, yeah. I'm confident that our guns, like my muzzleloader, my 450, and my 350, and your 350, and your 20 gauge, right? 200 yards, 250, no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, the gun is perfectly capable. You just got to be able to make the shot.
I'm just the dummy behind the gun.
Yeah.
You gotta be good.
We just, I mean, it.
And all you, like,
anyone
you got to do is hit them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
even in the foot.
Like, literally, we see plenty of it.
You just got to be able to get steady enough and get yourself calmed down.
Yep.
And pull the trigger.
Not slap the trigger.
Correct.
Right.
Like the equipment, if you got that gun in a vise, to where you can't bump it, you can't move it, you know.
What are them one tripods, the bog pod things?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're rock solid in that.
Yeah.
You can shoot them, I mean, as long as you know where to hold that crosshair, 200, 250, 300, And then with bows, or crossbows even, I mean, the bows are going to shoot, I mean, it's all to personal limitations.
The bows can outshoot the people nowadays.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
like
no
you
doubt.
Get guys, we talk about them all the time, Dudley.
Oh, it's
like
Dudley.
That dude could kill deer at 80 yards, like.
As long as it doesn't jump string.
Yeah.
Like.
As long as it don't move.
If it's staying still,
he's going to put it in the pinwheel, too.
He's going to kill him efficiently.
I mean, Levi Morgan, what did he shoot that Aoudad last year? I think he shot an Aoudad at 106 and just pinwheels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, that, even on vertical bows, like, we're talking about crossbows, but even on vertical bows, that technology is out there. It's just like you're saying. Like, it's
we're not saying go and shoot a deer at 100 yards.
No.
Don't do that, please.
No, it's just that like, to Nate's point,
like,
it's so much more
effective. Equipment is just so
effective.
more efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, and efficient and effective. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's going to be more deer killed because stuff's getting better.
Yep.
There's going to be more deer killed. And then
our seasons are getting more liberal, regulations are getting more liberal.
And it's very easy to use some of the new equipment.
Yeah.
So guys are jumping in for it, and here we go.
And the way they're setting up things is making it easy. Like, put this great big food plot. I'm not bashing this because I've done it.
Right.
Build this big food plot, put a blind on it, put a tripod, put a crossbow on it. Like, it's effective.
Take your coffee cup.
Yeah.
And piss out your window 20 times.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're in hunting, and again, everybody can do it for their own reasons. That's what I love about it. But like, if you're in it for the Instagram likes or the Facebook likes,
you're doing
the
it wrong,
instant
in my
gratification. I'll give you that.
You're in it for the wrong reason if that's what you're doing, and I'll tell that to your face too.
Yep.
Tell me where you're at, and I'll come meet you.
What I'm getting at is, if that's why you're doing it, then why would you not? You know what I'm saying? Like, put in that food plot and put that blind up and grab that crossbow. Why would you not even skip the other two parts and grab something like grab the crossbow now because it's more efficient? Like Jeff, for example, he's borderline on whether he could get a permit to shoot a crossbow before, but he can't really shoot a vertical bow now because his shoulder's screwed up, right? Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Totally okay with that. But if, like, you're doing it because, like what we're talking about.
You want to be lazy?
And, like, you're in it for that gratification, and you're all about posting the picture of that buck. I'm not.
I got problems with that.
Yeah, that's not my style.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think there's a lot of that, and it allows for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what we're saying. Like, it's so.
Like, I'm not bashing crossbows either. Like, they have their purpose. Like you were saying. But people just trying to get that Instagram like and Facebook like.
To me, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And even if it's a guy like, I don't know, that could maybe shoot a vertical bow, but he's like, I just don't know. Like, maybe he thinks he would be unfair to whatever he's shooting at, and he thinks I think I'm going to be more efficient. I'm going to be able to kill that deer better with the crossbow, but he's not doing it for the Facebook or the Instagram likes or whatever. He's doing it
for himself.
Yeah, but he's still like out there because he loves the experience of it, and he wants to go and hunt and be out there and be fair to the deer and be able to kill what he wants to kill. Like, I think it comes down to as much of why they're doing it as how they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Another thing is, I feel like, kind of off this a little bit, people get wrapped up in score so much. Like, I'm guilty of it too.
Oh,
like the buck I shot last year, 8.5-year-old deer, that's a trophy. But I was so excited to shoot him. He was only 135 inches.
Right.
But in his prime, I didn't get him in his prime, but at 4.5, he's almost 170.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't even know what he did the next 3 years.
Yeah, because I quit deer hunting there for a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, people get wrapped up, and as soon as they get a tape on him, they're like, oh, he's going to be huge, and then he's not. And then they just like, I shouldn't have shot that deer. And I'm like, man, you got excited for him and didn't have to shoot him, which you should be happy.
That's one, like, reservation I have about doing the big buck contest every year.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like to give people, like, hopefully it gives them more reason to be excited about killing their deer and sharing it with people. And like, I want it to be kind of a community type thing, like building more of a, like, hey, we're happy for this guy because he killed a deer. Let's show it off, whatever. But, like, the score thing for sure. Like, guys, literally, I've scored deer for guys that are like, man, I'm happy with him. He was, like, tickled to death. I think he's this score, 170. And then he ends up being, like, mid-150s, and the dude's, like, disappointed with it.
Yeah, I was guilty of that last year. Like, I was so pumped to shoot this deer, and I thought he was 100, because his body was just so huge. I thought his rack was gonna be bigger. We get him, and I get the tape on him like 135, and they're like that. And that's kind of when I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna ever score another deer of mine again, because I don't want to have that disappointment. Like, if he gets me excited, and I know he's big, and I want him. That's where I'm gonna stay.
To me, the score is just like a reference, I guess, or like a. I don't know.
Some people use it for another Instagram and Facebook like.
Exactly, you're right. But I think it's just something that you can do because, like, I don't know, just curious to see what it is, right? But I think if you're putting your reason for killing that deer into it, then you're going to fall into that. And you're going to be disappointed a lot of times.
Yep.
Because we all know about ground shrinkage. Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens. Like, you shoot a deer that you think's 170 inches and he ends up being 150 inches, like, then you're disappointed, but that's still a really nice deer.
It's still a 150-inch deer. That's a great deer.
And that's a deer you were excited about shooting. And we talk about that a lot, too. Like, that's why I like, if I can get on a mature deer and kill him, unless I know that there's one pretty consistently around that's bigger than him, right? Like, I'm probably going to shoot that deer, especially now. And maybe we get more picky if it was a 1-buck state.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we got 2 tags,
absolutely.
Like, if I can shoot
I screwed up, I can go get another.
Right? If I shoot a 5.5-year-old buck that only scores 135, like, if I get an opportunity at that deer with 2 permits,
I mean,
killing
you're still a 5.5-year-old deer. You got
exactly.
Like people forget sometimes about
That's
the age
the
quality.
To me, that's the true trophy thing.
Because that deer is super smart.
There are so many factors that go into antler size that we are totally out of our control, and so many things can change. They can have the best genetics in the world, but if their nutrition's bad for that year, or if they run themselves ragged during the rut, like they're not going to have a great rack the next year.
Did you listen to the Raise Hunting podcast this last week?
Mm-mm.
They were talking about that a little bit. Like, they think that Canada, if they had the nutrition up there, they would have 300-inch deer running around.
Oh, gosh. Do you look at the body size of them?
Yeah, because their body size is just huge. They just don't have, they're eating scrub brushes all year.
Right.
No nutritional value to anything. Like, if they had, like, what Iowa and Illinois has, they would have monster freaks up there.
Well, like Michigan, too, they have huge body deer.
Yeah.
Hunting pressure's a lot of it, too, obviously, which Canada doesn't have.
No.
So there's that. But like, if those deer didn't have the pressure and they had the nutrition that we do,
they would. In Wisconsin.
Yeah. And that's why I think parts of Wisconsin, like southwestern Wisconsin and the southern part of Wisconsin, they do have some of the
But don't they have the most
deer.
Boone and Crockett's?
I think they do.
Yeah.
And that's why.
If you get pockets up there where some of those things can make it to 5 and 6, you know, where they got an area that they can actually live for a little while.
Yeah, like southern Wisconsin has a lot of crop.
I think they get really big.
Yeah, they definitely do.
They got a lot of geese because I remember going to Green Bay last year, and the whole time I was just seeing fields and fields and fields. Like, I gotta move.
Like, we saw several in Iowa last year. I remember you talking about Blake. Man, he'd love these geese.
Yep. He'd be trying to get out of the truck, sneak down that waterway, call at him.
Give them to me.
Yep. Shoot.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else for this episode?
I wonder if we pissed more people off.
Probably. It's okay.
We've rode several horses tonight.
We have. Said the cowboy.
Brokeback Mountain over here.
Easy.
Oh, well, first, I guess last of all, congrats to both of you guys for being tagged out, because that's not an easy thing. Even all the people who think it's easy to kill big deer in Illinois, it ain't. And you guys both killed two really nice deer apiece this year, which is awesome.
Well, thank you for all your work you do on the YouTube, because I couldn't imagine trying to do all that editing and with that. Then on this podcast and your Full Jaw Friday, then now your Waterfront Wednesdays.
Which you're going to be on some, hopefully.
I'm not telling where I'm hunting. I promise you that.
That's fine. I do not want you to.
Yeah,
I do not want you to.
Like, we got 3 bands already this year, and I'm not telling a person where we got them at.
I know, and I want to talk about that on one of the episodes. But hopefully, people are enjoying the content.
I did not kill 3 bands yet. Give it another couple weeks, and I might post a picture of it.
We'll see.
Yeah, let the fire burn down, and people wondering, like, where'd he kill them? You ain't gonna find out.
There you go. Yeah, hopefully people are enjoying the content, even if we can't get a kill shot on camera. But it's been a lot of fun. Like, I don't know, we've got to hunt together
a couple times.
More like 3 or 4 times.
I did get Nate's deer on kill shot. It's just
a little fuzzy.
Fuzzed.
You could.
It was in the screen.
It was.
It was great.
You could see the arrow hit the deer.
It was great up until that split second point.
Yep.
I'm like,
you got a real good look at that Sitka camo, though.
And they need to give us a sponsor for that.
I think so. Just for that shot alone. We care so much about their camo, we didn't even focus on the deer. Like, forget that thing. Look at this camo pattern.
That doesn't matter. Look at his shoulder.
Exactly.
You can't even see it. It's so good.
It's been a lot of fun, though. Like,
yeah,
we've got to hunt together.
Yeah.
Way more times than we ever have before.
Yeah, me and Nate, it's been like 5, no, it's been longer than 5 years since we hunted. You and Katie weren't married even yet before last time we hunted. This has probably been the most fun I've had. This is the most fun I've had.
It's been a ton of fun. And then sitting in the tree with Nate, like we were talking, I think the last time, we don't kill anything together, but we sure have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All we kill is time.
Me and you never killed nothing.
Yeah, I know.
Well, how many hunts did we go on and we didn't see a deer?
We set that the new plot like 3 times and didn't see a deer. We saw 2 deer total. We saw a little spike buck and that little doe, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, we had that little 2.5-year-old buck. We saw.
Yeah, and then we set in mind that draw that where he killed his.
We saw one little buck that morning.
Yeah, we did. I forgot. I thought we'd seen nothing.
That was it. We saw about 1 deer per sit.
Yeah, great.
Did you ever sit the cabin plot with me this year? Yeah, you said it once, right?
We didn't see a deer.
That's time we didn't see a deer. Yep.
Man,
I know.
Me and Nate.
That's been my year though. Like I've had probably 3 good hunts.
Me and Nate had a lot of good sits.
Yeah, you guys did. We had some good sits on his.
We should have. We had a chance at a coyote that won.
Did we?
Yeah, that one came underneath us and he wouldn't stop for nothing.
You're the good luck charm. I'm the bad luck charm.
No.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah.
Yeah, the same morning that we had that split G2 buck.
Yep.
That was underneath us before you realized it. And
Yep.
When was that?
Oh,
Which deer was that?
the day after I killed.
yeah, it was the next day.
Oh, yeah.
after I
Okay, I
killed
went
my
on
buck.
up there.
Yeah.
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 No, it was that was the
It's
2
2
days
days.
after.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
Because we seen that other
The one
buck.
that snuck in on you.
Yeah, because we seen the other buck the next day.
Yeah.
Yep.
The coyote came screaming through.
Mm-hmm.
The neighbor's dogs ran that whole thicket.
With a deer leg in his mouth.
Yep. A big white fuzzy dog carrying a whole deer leg in his mouth comes under us at 10 yards after he'd been through the whole thicket.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yep.
But we've had some good hunts. I mean, we've had some fun.
I mean,
Me and you haven't had very many good hunts. We've had a couple, but we've all had fun. It's been a blast.
Fun. Yeah.
And it's not over yet. I still got to get on the board.
yeah.
Yep.
I am fingers crossed that, I don't know if I talked about it on last episode or if it's going to be on this one or if I'll even use it, but that shed buck last year disappeared from the 10th to the 29th. This year he disappeared on the 2nd, and I haven't seen him again yet. But I'm hoping with this little bit of warmer weather that we've had and the rain that we've had, I put out some winter wheat. Maybe if it comes up by the middle, end of December, maybe I pull him back. Because he was there for like December 25th through January 15th till when he shed.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
There's still chance you can get one.
Yeah. There's still shooters out there, so we'll see. Hopefully it's there because the North Farm, haven't had anything.
If I've had a lot of good luck during muzzleloader season.
Yeah.
So, and that's coming
Next
up
weekend,
next weekend.
right? Yep. But you can still bow hunt in.
Yeah, I'm going to go possibly shoot a doe
There you go.
if I'm not trying to find geese.
There you go.
Make sure your powder's not wet if you take that smoke pole.
What do you know about that?
More than I wish I knew about that.
Oh, man.
They turn into a flare gun.
Uh-huh.
It
Really expensive flare gun.
had very precise. Yeah.
Very piss poor time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Uh-huh.
I don't care if I ever shoot another muzzleloader again.
Oh, okay. We'll save that one for another time.
Yep. It's too late.
Yep. I've already kept you guys all night, so appreciate you making it down and doing this because I've done the last two by myself, and I know people are tired of listening to me talk. So
It's been.
They're probably going to be tired of listening to us after this one.
nah.
It's been too long since I've been in.
You ain't been in an 8. He's been in more recently than you have.
Yep.
Yep. Been too long.
Yep.
Hopefully, once that class I'm taking gets over with, I'll be able to we'll start shooting for like Thursday nights again and be a little more consistent. So
Yep.
you guys can make it.
All right.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget about Full Draw Friday coming up on Friday, but also Fall Pursuit will be out Tuesday. We'll have Nate's Recovery on there, some other stuff, maybe a little bit of me not seeing anything. But I hope you guys have been enjoying the podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.